Jerusalema ikhaya lami, ilondoloze uhambe nami, zungangishilana. Jerusalema ikhaya lami, ilondoloze uhambe nami, zungangishilana. Dawo yami ayikholana, buso wami awukholana. Ilondoloze zuhambe nami, dawo yami ayikholana, buso wami awukholana. Ilondoloze
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sneha.
Namaste to everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the YILAGA International Conference.
We are delighted once again to be your hosts for today.
Let me introduce us. I am Sneha Tamatur, a civil engineering graduate, business analysis specialist, and a musician. My co-host, Sarah, is an endodontist working as professor at St. Gregorius Dental College, Kodamangalam. She enjoys singing and is a theatre artist.
So, Sneha, what's the plan for today? I'm excited to know.
Well, Sarah, today we will be exploring the tools that can lead one to a graceful aging and a healthy life. We have professional therapists and artists speak to us about how dance, music, yoga, laughter, and theatre can be used to enhance communication, identification, association, imagery, self-expression, and self-knowledge. Today is definitely going to be colorful.
Can't wait to see what's in store for us today. Before I call upon Ms. Shanti George, Director of Yohans Vimukthy International, to deliver the welcome address, please let me introduce you to her. Ms. Shanti George is a globally oriented researcher and practitioner who crosses and recrosses conventional professional boundaries between academia, activism, development practice, and philanthropy. She is currently based in Hague, Netherlands, and is working as an independent researcher and advisor on children's issues. She is specialized in the field of anthropology with a focus on social anthropology and anthropology of development. Previously, she has worked as a professor in various universities. She also has multiple international publications and extensive field experience in Asia, Africa, and Europe. Please welcome Ms. Shanti George.
Welcome back to day 3 of the YILAGA conference, the final day because all good things have to come to an end, we know. On day 1, you heard from specialists on aging over the life course. On day 2, we went deeper into topics such as mental health, digitalization and urbanization with special reference to aging. Today, day 3, there will be a dramatic change in gears from the spoken word to movement, activity, rhythm, and joy, to banish stereotypes that associate aging with passivity and isolation. We will hear about dance therapy, music therapy, drama therapy, yoga therapy, and laugh therapy. Notably, students from the YILAGA initiative will demonstrate both dance and yoga. So please now sit back and enjoy the program that will unfold. Thank you.
In dance lies our love, our life, our light. Ayana Dance Company works towards the realization of one universal experience of dance. Founded in 2009, the company has created a unique vocabulary of dance that celebrates the Indian aesthetic in all its glory. The spiritual and the slapstick, the spectacle and the simple. Ayana is a telling of the universal human condition, because we all have our own stories, our own Ayanas. Please welcome Ayana Dance Company.
लुक छुप ना जाओ जी मन बीत कराओ जी रा क्यों तरसावे हो मन सकल दिखाओ जी थारी शरारत सब जानू मैं चौधरी अरसले उन्हें बंगा दी मैं कह लगे मर बिगड़ में जागी दो कणी रे चंदा में थारी चांदनी मन दामन में बाधी खुशी रे झुम 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 बाजुम ओ मारे इगड़े में जागी धोकनी चंदा में थारी चांदनी मन दामन में बाधी खुशी रे झुम 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 बाजुम
That was beautiful and graceful dancing. Dancing can be a way to stay fit for people of all ages, shapes, and sizes. It has a wide range of physical and mental benefits, including improved condition of your heart and lungs, increased muscular strength, endurance, and motor fitness. Ms. Vidya Harindran is a Bharatnatyam dancer, engineer, and entrepreneur. She has always been passionate about dance and the influence of dance on mental health. After working in the corporate world as a ship design engineer for 12 years, she started her dance school, Sri Padma Nrityam Academy of Performing Arts and Research Foundation in Kochi in the year 2019. She is currently working on a startup, Happier, with an aim to redefine happiness in the world. Please welcome Ms. Vidya Harindran.
Dance movement therapy, or DMT, is the psychotherapeutic use of movement to promote emotional, social, cognitive, and physical integration. It can help people with physical health issues by increasing strength, improving flexibility, decreasing muscle tension, and boosting coordination. It can also offer important mental health benefits, including stress reduction and even symptom relief from conditions such as anxiety and depression. Devika Mehta Kadam is a licensed dance movement therapist registered with ADMP UK, and Indian Association of Dance Movement Therapy, IADMT. She is the program head of the postgraduate diploma in expressive arts therapy at St. Xavier's College, Mumbai, and faculty in DMT. Please welcome Ms. Devika Mehta.
Hello, everybody. I'm Devika Mehta, and I'm a dance movement psychotherapist. Today, I'm here to sort of look at this idea of what does the word movement mean, or what does the word dance mean. Like you heard a previous speaker talk about how dance can help with graceful aging, how it can help with independent living. We are looking at this concept of what is movement, right? So, when we look at movement, for me, movement is to move is to be alive. When we talk about, what happens from the first breath to the last breath, I think what we really need to think about is these terms that we use for she's alive and kicking, or what it is to feel like you're moving through your life, right? What is dancing? And we're going to look at this presentation, and we're going to see what are the myths around the word movement, around the word dance, how movement impacts us through our lifespan. So really starting off with what are some of the myths that we have about movement, right? One of the biggest myths that we do have is this idea that we have to be able-bodied. And when I say the term able-bodied, when I use the term able-bodied, we are really looking at this concept of I have to be very physically fit. I have to be independent to be able to enjoy movement, to be able to dance through life. What we essentially are then saying is that anybody who's on the disabled spectrum, right, or who is old, is not going to be able to move or dance. And that is actually a myth, right? We also constantly think that movement, and if I dance, I'm going to stay fit. It's related to my physical health. It is about how I feel in my body, how good I feel about myself. But that is also another myth, because as we go through the presentation, we'll see that how dance and movement is really related to your emotional health, to your social health, to your spiritual health as well. Another myth is that movement is only supposed to be used for functional movement, right? So when we want to pick up something, when we want to, put our hair into place, when we are cooking something, we tend to use movement not as a way to express ourselves, but really as a way to function through life, right? And the biggest myth of all, if you want to engage in dance and movement, either you need to be an expert at it, you need to be really good at it, it has to be choreographed, we really say watch as if, you should dance as if nobody is watching. And a lot of us we say things like, I only dance in the weddings, or I am like a street dancer, Ganpati dancer, bathroom singer. We have all these private spaces where we want to move and we want to dance, but we always see anything that we want to do together as something that needs expertise, something that needs to be choreographed. So let's look at movement across lifespan, right? From the time you are in the uterus, how does a doctor ask a mother that, do you feel life, right? One of the biggest things that they say is, as long as the baby is kicking, right? When you look at palliative care, we literally say till my last breath. What is breath? Breath is nothing but movement of the lungs. A lot of times we think of movement as something that is outside, something that's visible, but all your organs are constantly moving. They are informing how you're feeling inside. They are informing your brain about what kind of health your body has, right? So movement actually happens from in utero to palliative care. One of the biggest things that we do see, unfortunately, is, when we look at this term mind and body connection. If you see young children, right, they experience everything through touch, through their senses, they experience the world through movement, because they don't have speech at that point, right? They are only looking at, you'll see them getting obsessed with fans, see them obsessed with anything that's moving, and they take their cues from movement. Unfortunately, as we grow up, right? I still see young school children, moving with full abandon. So when they really express themselves, they express themselves through their full bodies, right? So you see them moving, you see them dancing, and as we grow into adults, we become these very mechanical, functionally useful bodies, and we tend to not feel comfortable in our bodies because we are restricting movement. When we think of elderly population, when we think of old population, we as a culture, we restrict them. We say, oh, don't do this, you know. If the person is very able-bodied enough to get up also from the chair, we immediately give out a hand, right? So we're constantly, from the time we are born, instead of expanding our movements, we keep restricting them. And that leads to a lot of disembodiment, disconnection with how our mind is experiencing the world, how the body is experiencing the world, are they even in a conversation with each other? We then look at, so then what does movement do? Movement and engaging in movement helps for physical integration. It helps to socially understand the world, to perceive what the world is like, right? Your emotional integration. Because I bet if I ask you how angry you are more likely to say, ah! So you're going to say it with a vocalization or with your full body, or, you know, slam the door, throw something, tear something. That's how we use our full body to express our emotions. And when we curb that, when our body is not allowed to express their full emotions, we feel disembodied, right? Cognitive integration. How do we think? How am I going to make these decisions? Your nervous system is attuned, your prefrontal cortex. All of that really rely on your capacity to move through choices, right? Very metaphorically, very symbolically, to be unstuck, right? Which is through movement and spiritual integration as well. When we are looking at peaceful aging, when we are looking at independent living, we always sometimes look at any kind of therapy work as, oh, you know, is it helping me physically? Is it helping me emotionally? Is it about my social skills? But very rarely do we look at what is the purpose of me moving through this world? What is the purpose of me living this life? So, very quickly, like I said, most of them say, you know, dance so that nobody's watching. I would say dance to be seen, right? So what we're going to do is in COVID-19, a lot of us experienced this, where we were living in close quarters, we were living in close proximity, and we constricted our body massively, right, to keep ourselves safe. And now when we have to expand and move through space, it becomes harder. So what we're going to do is, we're going to do one quick opening, closing, rising, sinking kind of movement. So please close your eyes and put your hands on your heart. And take a few deep breaths and really feel the rhythm of your heart. Feel your heart beat. Feel your vitality. Feel that you are alive. Now, expand your arms to both the sides and bring them down. And close and hug yourself really tight. And we'll do this a few more times. So we expand and contract. Expand and expand as much as you can. And contract. Open and stretch as if to receive. And then gather yourself and comfort yourself in a nice house. And in the same way, we're going to rise. Rise as if you're reaching out to the world. And sink to rest. And rise again. And sink. And then rise from your tailbone and your spine. And when you sink, really allow your spine to relax a little. With all the pressures of constantly holding yourself. Let's just make this a dance. Spread, close, rise, low. Spread, close, rise, low. And now, Come back to your heartbeat. Just notice if anything has shifted, how you feel in your body, how you'd like to move. What I would like to really just end this with is redefine what the word movement is for you, right? Till you don't change what the word movement means for you, your body will not live it. In the work that I do, we really look at how we work with the bodies to create emotional changes, right? So something as simple as when we go to school, right? When a teacher walks in, one of the first things that we do to pay attention is to sit upright. Right? So we really use our body to do things, to be functional. But what I'm going to challenge you today with is, can you use your whole body to express? Can you make movement a part of your lifestyle? Whether it's stretching out of bed or going for a walk or just tapping and swaying to your favorite music. Make movement a part of your life. Because, like I said in the beginning, to move is to be alive. And when you stop moving, you are literally killing yourself. So what I would say is, make movement a part of your lifestyle. It's not just about your physical health, it's about your emotional health, your social health, your spiritual health, your capacity to make decisions, and especially with the neurodiverse group or the elderly group, the more you move, the more you claim the power of what it is to feel alive. With that, thank you.
Thank you, Devika. You really got us moving. Konnakol is the art of performing percussion syllables vocally in South Indian Carnatic music. Konnakol is a spoken component of Solkattu, which refers to a combination of Konnakol syllables spoken while simultaneously counting the tala with the hand. Sri Praveen Narayan is a senior artist in the Indian classical music industry based out of Chennai, who plays the tabla and percussion instruments. He is a disciple of Sri Muthukumar and Pandit Ramdas Palsule. He has played at the UN and has also visited and performed in more than 20 countries. His wife, Srimati Priyanka, is also a classical Bharatanatyam artist and a scientist by profession. Please welcome Sri Praveen Narayan and Srimati Priyanka on Konnakol.
Takita takka dimmi takita takka dimmi takka dimmi takita takka dimmi takita takka dimmi takita 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 takka dimmi takka dimmi takka dimmi takita 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 takita.
That was so beautiful. Music therapy is an evidence-based treatment that helps with a variety of disorders, including cardiac conditions, depression, autism, substance abuse, and Alzheimer's disease. It can help with memory, lower blood pressure, improve coping, reduce stress, improve self-esteem, and much more. Bringing music therapy to us is Ms. Sneha Tamatur. Sneha Tamatur has been a student of Indian classical music for the past 15 years. She trusts that music has the ability to influence moods and thoughts for inducing joy and peace. She believes that music has a critical role to play while transitioning to a culture of sustainability. So here is Miss Sneha bringing to you music as a therapy.
Music and well-being. Through introspective learning, multiple discussions with musicians and scholars alike, it became clear that music is far more outreaching than the mere notes that make up a melody. In the ancient texts on the performing arts, it can be seen that emotions play a critical role in the interpretation as well as the presentation of music. In Indian classical music, for instance, moods have been described as erotic, compassionate, comic, angry, terrible, heroic, hideous, and wondrous. This has been called out in one of my favorite books, The Music Room. Music can signify and connect to cultures, events, and seasons too, meaning to show an interrelationship with the individual's wider and social circles. Comprehending music for well-being. To do this, let me start by trying to build a bit of a perspective, because more often than not, music offers us not argument, or reason, but experience. So let's look at music as a process rather than a structure, as something intimately tied to human effect and meaning, as participatory and inherently social, as determined by culture and context, as performed, improvised, and live, as well as notated and reproduced, as personal, embodied, and more importantly, deeply human. What is popularly considered as autonomous and independent in purist ideologies can now show synergic characteristics to environments, circumstances, and cultures. Interpretation assumes the center of focus, its strength being allowing for imagination and daring display, and weakness being credibility, since there is no such thing as proof of interpretation. The message of therapy through music is that we can never underestimate the complexity and the multiple meanings which gets integrated into seemingly abstract musical structures. Thereby, the common misconception that music can be understood by reducing it to analytical internal relationships meant that it left out some of the most basic and vital aspects of music, which is the real-world musical experiences. Just how text without context limits the overall understanding of communicated information, music without consideration for the overall influences like mood of the instructor, previous experiences of the receiver, emotional level of the receiver, aesthetics and functionality of the physical space where the practice is being provided, even minor interactions with the individuals at the front desk or staff in the therapeutic building show and somehow have an influence on the way music is perceived. These are just to name a few. Through this understanding, it becomes clear and safe to say that music and life are truly related. The simplest definition of semiology is the study of how things signify other things. Common questions could be, what does it mean when we hear a certain kind of music? Why do I feel the way I do when I hear that sort of music? What's the intention behind that music, and how does it work? Let's try to make sense of this together. Let's take this example. P is the producer, M is a message, R is the receiver. When the producer P sends a message M, which is then conveyed to the receiver R, who is capable of decoding it. This can be said to be a good example of Morse code. But this example is not fine for any more complicated symbolic systems. Admittedly, even verbal language sometimes works this way. Native language users find this quite handy, since within the system the meaning is stable and misinterpretation is less likely. As fit as a fiddle means in very good health, and that's a given. But if music, images, and dreams are regarded in the same way, we get problems. Here, we have a material trace T, which stands at the center of the system of communication, which has independent productional and receptional processes. The important point is that the receiver may not necessarily receive any meaning intended by the producer, if indeed the producer meant anything in the conventional sense. Like in the case of an instrumental piece of music, when we hear a string of notes played to form a gorgeous melody, we don't expect to derive information or meaning from it. Instead, what happens is that the producer, the instrumentalist, constructs and leaves a trace, which could be preserved on paper or tape, and the receiver, the listener, makes sense of this according to their perception and interpretation. Music, when treated as a code that needs to be interpreted to give a specific meaning, leads to communication fallacy. In other words, becomes a barrier to interpersonal communication. Thomas Hellick, in his paper on scientific perspectives on music therapy, identifies 5 working factors seen as significant in music therapeutic work. The first is attention modulation. The basic assumption here is that music has an auditive quality and has the power to attract attention. Many people use music to distract themselves from stressful everyday events. Anesthesiological studies of many researchers imply that the auditory system is the sensory system that switches off the last. Music therapy has proven its effectiveness in managing surgical patients, even those operated under general anesthesia. Most studies advocate for implementation of intra-operative music therapy in the treatment protocols. Let's take a look at the second factor, emotional modulation. The basic assumption here is that music has the power to modulate emotions. In recent years, research has been conducted on the so-called thrill or chill effect, which is an emotional and psychological reaction to music often associated with getting goosebumps. Let's take Indian music for example. Owing to its etymology, Rag Bhairav is referred to as the Adi Raga, meaning the primordial raga. Bhairav is so fundamental to Indian tradition that its impact can be felt on the nation's musical soul, and that can never be overstated. The overlay of Bhairav strains on a quiet and pleasant morning can be a purifying experience. It is very important to study the emotion modulation potential of music precisely because most psychological disorders and mental illnesses can also be described as emotional disturbances. Managing emotions by music may be a relevant topic and useful tool in the future treatment of emotional disorder. Cognition modulation. The basic assumption here is that music represents a neurocognitive capacity. The neuronal processing of music is similar to that of speech. Therefore, understanding music means thinking and creating logic and experiences. In Indian classical music, Konnakol is a practice of performing percussion syllables vocally. Learning Konnakol helps improve speech, gain control of thought and emotions, and sharpens intellect through its mathematical construct. Clinically, cognition modulation is used to change subjective cognitions and meaning patterns and is also important in music-guided imagery techniques. Some music therapists use music to induce a hypnotic trance and to alter states of consciousness. Behavior modulation. The basic assumption is that music represents a useful possibility to evoke and condition behavior. The association of music and dance is well known. Marching songs are common, and the military offers a great variety of military marches. The factor is used therapeutically in gait rehabilitation of stroke patients and in the treatment of movement problems, for example, in Parkinson's patients. The last factor is communication modulation. The basic assumption here is that psychotherapeutic music therapy represents a complex paradigm of nonverbal communication. It is often pointed out that music therapy uses nonverbal interpretation and interaction. Humans use music to communicate simultaneously and not alternatively, as in the case of verbal dialogue. Communication modulation is often used in clinical setting for the learning of interpersonal competencies, especially in group music therapy. The reality of many music therapy interventions is realized when therapists and patients are sharing a joint musical experience. Here are ways through which music therapy can be introduced. Listening to suitable music promotes the experience of positive emotions and increased relaxation. Singing stimulates multiple areas of the brain at once and can be carried out in a group or individually. Songwriting offers creative and intellectual challenges that enables participants to remain vibrant, creative, and productive. Social networks, where individuals jointly participated in music activities, enhanced a sense of playing a vital role within a community, in other words, feeling valued. Performances were opportunities for positive feedback and contributed significantly to a strong musical self-concept. Active engagement with making music in instrumental groups has been found to be associated with a range of positive outcomes. Participating in musical instrumental ensembles offered opportunities for progression, enjoyment, alleviating loneliness, and coping with challenges of aging. Music does not come without barriers. Structural barriers were those that related to physical access to facilities, perceptions of the location as being too elitist, financial constraints, and time of day. Information barriers were also identified. That many participants had come across information about music sessions purely by chance, and there did not seem to be any systematic knowledge or place that older people could get access to reliable information about what was available in their area. Some personal and social barriers were also identified, including caring responsibilities, social orientations, and personal interest, willingness to socialize, confidence, and motivation. Several suggestions were made with regard to how barriers might have been overcome. First and foremost, it was emphasized that music sessions had to be welcoming and inclusive, led by facilitators who established mutually respectful communication and set challenging tasks that took account of the prior experiences that their adult participants brought to the group. It was also thought that care had to be taken over ensuring that the physical context was accessible, for example, making use of outreach locations. Buddy systems was thought to be vitally important in helping individuals to develop confidence and motivation to attend group sessions. Within the context of our aging global population, we cannot afford to ignore the protective and enriching power of music in the lives of older people. There is substantial evidence that throughout aging, people, including both the well-old and those constrained by age-related conditions, are able to engage with music, establish musical identities, and develop as musicians. Music offers a medium through which older people can reconnect with their youth, experience vitality, and feel empowered. Above all else, music making is joyful and a creative activity that all humans, regardless of age, have an entitlement to. It is incumbent on music educators, researchers, and all those interested in caring for aging people to advocate for high quality, accessible musical opportunities throughout their life course. Thank you.
That was very informative, Sneha. Thank you. The second video that you witnessed just now are the students of ILAGA practicing singing in their classical music session. Music therapy, along with group activities, can expand socialization and communication skills, as well as reduce problems of social isolation.
Laughing is an excellent way to reduce stress in our lives and can help you to cope with and survive a stressful lifestyle. Laughter provides a full-scale workout for your muscles and unleashes a rush of stress-busting endorphins. Arya TK is a certified fitness professional, entrepreneur, engineer, musician, amongst other titles. Most of her work revolves around working with individuals in order to better understand their bodies with the ultimate goal of being able to push limits and achieve what their biology presents as efficiently as possible. Please welcome Arya TK on how laughter can be used as a therapy.
Laughter therapy. On the surface, laughter appears to be an unconscious, instantaneous reaction to something that pleases us rather than displeases us. But it seems to be much more complicated than that. Let's get into it. The term humor came to be what it's known today through a very interesting pathway. It's an old French or Latin term which meant moisture. The original sense was bodily fluid, surviving in aqueous humor or vitreous humor. It was used specifically for any of the cardinal humors, whence mental disposition, thought to be caused by the relative proportions of these humors within the body. This led in the 16th century to the senses mood and whim. Hence, to humor someone is to indulge in a person's whim. Humor and laughter are closely related. However, they aren't synonymous. Humor is the underlying cognitive process that frequently, but not necessarily, leads to laughter. In a paper about the evolutionary origins of humor, laughter is defined as exposure to a humorous stimulus inducing laughter, a loud multi-second seizure-like signal that generates a positive emotional state in conspecifics and facilitates further social activity. Yeah, that sounds bizarre. But laughter is bizarre. Squishing your face, glaring your teeth at other people, uncontrollably grunting and hyperventilating, it's definitely weird. When you look at it like that, it's easier to see why scientists wanted to dig further. Laughter is still beautiful, a common thing shared by people all over the world, transcending borders of language, geography, and lifestyle. The basic ability to perceive humor seems instinctive and thus likely reliant on genetic machinations. Humor is complex, arguably too complicated to learn without an assemblage of specific neural pathways or an associated cognitive module. Humor has been part of the behavioral repertoire of modern Homo sapiens for thousands of years. Ancient Greek texts contain descriptions of professional gestures and joke books. One of the earliest historical figures to be firmly associated with humor and laughter was the Greek philosopher Democritus, known as the laughing philosopher. Humorous conversations have been observed by the pioneering anthropologists in the first contact with Australian Aboriginals, which seems to be isolated for at least 35,000 years. If genetic factors dictate the fundamental ability to perceive or produce humor, and barring convergent evolution, then 35,000 years may reflect a minimum age for humor in Homo sapiens. Because of the multi-layered nature of humor, no single theory has been completely satisfactory and clinched universal acceptance. Plato perhaps expounded the earliest recorded speculations on the subject, although according to Provine, he appears to have discussed the effects of laughter rather than humor per se. Aristotle commented on the social effects of laughter, although evidence existed that one of his lost manuscripts may actually have concentrated on humor. Laughter is the simplest vocal noise we can make, a percussive expulsion of air. Are humans the only one to do it? Not really. Primates do it, dogs do it, and even rats are observed to have some version of it when tickled. When our brains are way more complicated than that. And that's why there are more evolutionary theories that might actually give us a deeper understanding as to why we actually use it. A good example of the first theory of humor is the incongruity principle. Here's a very intense example of that. Here, it becomes clear that an act of delinquency is precisely what this child is doing. People are supposed to know the essential features of their character, and when they don't, this is incongruous. However, children may be exempt from this stringent expectation due to their immaturity, and this detail could be associated with this resolving element. Repressed aggression of sexual feelings. Freud viewed humor as the release of excessive sexual or aggressive tension. Framed within his views of the unconscious mind, humor and laughter release the psychic tension relative to inhibiting unconscious sexual or aggressive impulses. Expressing laughter is considered anxiety reducing, pleasurable, and healthy. Subsequent researchers have studied various aspects of humor within this framework. Several humor thinkers have emphasized how humor is often associated with demonstrating superiority or elevating your social status. Thomas Hobbes in Leviathan was the first to clearly articulate this idea, characterizing laughter as an extension of sudden glory. In Expressions of the Emotions in Man and Animals, Darwin explains that laughter seems primarily to be just the expression of mere joy and happiness. According to Alexander, the major benefits of telling jokes are varied, including raising one's status, lowering the status of certain other individuals, and raising the status of designated listeners, and thereby enhancing camaraderie or social unity. Weisfield proposed a general humor theory suggesting that humor provides valuable social information to others, while laughter provokes pleasurable feelings that positively reinforce the humorist. Ramachandran's false army theory suggests that the main purpose of laughter is for the individual to alert others in the social group that the anomaly detected by the individual is of trivial consequence. Something evolutionary positive seems to be occurring around humor and laughter, another reason to invite adaptionistic thinking. Furthermore, laughter is pleasurable and consequently a reinforceable behavior. Perhaps the most overarching use of humorous communication is to help navigate contentious social situations. The biology of humor and laughter is quite complicated, but there are some researches to break it down. Your brain works through complex neural pathways to understand language, and interpreting humor is no different. The frontal lobe and limbic system are responsible for controlling emotional responses. The left side of your brain interprets the words, and with the help of the right side interpreting what makes these words funny, humor is perceived, and your motor unit is what's responsible for showing it. Laughter reduces the level of stress hormones like cortisol and epinephrine and increases the level of health-enhancing hormones like endorphins. Laughter increases the number of antibody-producing cells that we have working for us and enhances the effectiveness of T cells. All this means a stronger immune system as well as fewer physical effects of stress. A good belly laugh exercises the diaphragm, contracts the abs, and even works out the shoulders, leaving the muscles more relaxed afterwards. It even provides a good workout for the heart. It is known to relieve pain and ease it by producing its own natural painkillers. There are several reasons to suppose humor and laughter could be evolutionarily adaptive. As previously mentioned, the complexity of humor implicates an established genetic substrate that in turn could suggest evolutionary adaptiveness. Given that even a simple joke could utilize language skills, theory of mind, symbolism, abstract thinking, and social perception, humor may be arguably humankind's most complex cognitive attribute. Norman Cousins, an editor of Saturday Review, was sometimes called the father of laughter therapy. He didn't feel particularly mirthful when he was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis, a crippling and intensely painful form of arthritis. But as he said in his book, The Anatomy of an Illness, humor was definitely part of his recovery plan. Soon after the diagnosis, Cousins vowed to tackle his disease with confidence and laughter. He set up a movie projector in his hospital room and frequently watched Marx Brothers movies and classic episodes of Candid Camera. The only downside was his constant laughter bothered some of the neighboring patients. He quotes, "I made the joyous discovery that 10 minutes of genuine belly laughter had an almost anesthetic effect and would give me at least 2 hours of pain-free sleep. In between reels, he stayed upbeat and relaxed. Over a period of months, he regained motion in his joints and felt the pain disappear. He eventually made a nearly full recovery from his incurable disease." Cousins went on to help establish a department at the University of California at Los Angeles Medical School that investigated the connection between the illness and the mind. Why therapy though? Like previously mentioned, laughter helps with short-term benefits like the release of endorphins or feel-good hormones. This would generally lighten the mood, and as seen through studies, it would thus give the benefits to relax the brain and body to handle tough situations. Many people experience depression, sometimes due to chronic illnesses, and laughter might actually help overcome it. It can also improve your self-esteem. Even helping with long-term benefits, scientists have been researching the relation between the mind and the body, especially in connection with the body's ability to heal, a field called the psychoneuroimmunology. Laughter appears to change the brain chemistry and may actually boost the immune system over a long-term period. Humor may allow a person to feel in control of a situation and make it seem more manageable. It allows people to release fears, anger, and stress, all of which can harm the body over time. Humor improves the quality of life, and laughter might actually have more to do with bonding than we imagine. Being able to laugh together will give the caregiver and the patient a closer connect, better trust, and an overall stronger relationship. As humans, we are social creatures after all. Humor therapy helps reduce the negative effects of feeling unhealthy, out of control, afraid, or helpless, which are common problems in those with cancer or any type of chronic disease. Humor therapy is also valuable as a preventative measure for the caregivers of people with chronic diseases. Caregivers and those they care for can practice humor therapy together, and they both are very likely to have a better health as a result. Thank you.
Dance has proven to be a method for positive feedback and for promoting a positive self-concept. Presenting the YILAGA students. That was a pure joy to watch. Drama therapy is the intentional use of drama and/or theatre processes to achieve therapeutic goals. Ms. Anupriya Banerjee is a drama therapist and creative director and the founder of Dr. Drama. After her undergrad course in psychology from Delhi University, she did her master's in drama therapy from New York University. Her TED Talk on drama therapy and self-care has over 10,000 views in YouTube. She has numerous working experiences in the mental health industry, and through drama therapy, she helps people to connect with themselves with the best of psychotherapy and techniques of theater like art, music, movement dance, and role plays. Presenting Miss Anupriya.
Hello there, I'm Anupriya Meenakshi Banerjee Putran, and I'm a drama therapist, a person who intentionally incorporates techniques of drama like storytelling, masks, puppets, improvisation, etc. in the process of mental health care. One of my favorite ways of working with people across ages and abilities has been through a performance-based medium known as therapeutic theatre. As per the drama therapy program at New York University, therapeutic theatre is the intentional use of performance to address psychological, physical, and social concerns and promote health and well-being. It can support goals such as reminiscence, recovery, rehabilitation, and advocacy. In this, we acknowledge the culturally situated and socially constructed quality of lived experiences. Our experiences become available to exploration and change when understood and expressed through performance. The video essay ahead will offer some essential points to consider if you are a mental health professional building a therapeutic production with your clients. But first, let us start by understanding the difference between theatre and therapeutic theatre. 1. Intention. Theatre is goal-oriented and recreational. Therapeutic theatre is constructed to offer a strength-based, process-oriented, and action-based insight and support to storytellers' mental, physical, and spiritual needs. 2. Aesthetics. Much like theatre, aesthetics may be employed to engage, explicate, illuminate, or enhance the experience of the story. In a therapeutic production, the choice of aesthetics is always based on the storyteller's relational, artistic, and functional understanding of what the aesthetic is. 3. Process. Theatre may be focused on the ultimate outcome or product. However, in therapeutic theatre, focus always draws back to the intention and therefore the process, not the product. 4. Holding. An artistic performance can be put together by people across varying competencies like teachers, students, artists. However, in therapeutic theatre, space is held and supervised by qualified mental health professionals trained to balance the intersection of arts and mental health. 5. Ethics. Much like therapy, there are many ethical considerations that are maintained as per client's consent, unlike theatre where it may or may not be considered. More on that later. Now that we know what therapeutic theatre is and how different it is from theatre, let's look at 10 agents to consider when you are creating your own therapeutic production, be it theatre, film, exhibition, performance, recital, or anything that your imagination can create. There are 2 aspects to consider in process, the therapeutic and the creative. Before starting on any therapeutic theatre journey, it is important to set an intention or purpose to the exploration, much like approximating your client's expectations at the beginning of therapy. You can use a simple why, what, where, how, who principle. Why does your storyteller need or want to explore this process? What does the storyteller hope to take away and or what could potentially support the play, imagination, and creativity of the storyteller? Where do you see this performance taking place? How would you like to share your story? Who would you like to have supporting you in the process? Any other expectations or considerations such as body-based, emotional, behavioral, cognitive, aesthetic, or transpersonal needs? Some of these questions may be answered along the way. This offers a starting point for any therapeutic theatre process. Another therapeutic aspect to consider is setting boundaries. Just like in therapy, the facilitator maintaining and confirming boundaries in the process allows for a sense of safety and comfort to develop for the storyteller. Boundaries of time such as frequency and duration of rehearsals, finalizing the narrative, tentative performance, and termination date. Boundaries of space such as rehearsal space protocols, be it online or offline. Boundaries of therapeutic alliance. or the contract of the relationship between the therapist and the client during that period. Secondly, it is also important to consider supporting the creative aspects of the process. Much like any sports or physical activity, the body needs to be prepared via warm-up to tap into the core of imagination, creativity, spontaneity, and access thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and roles as a resource. The action phase is where the therapist guides client to moments of catharsis, recognition, and integration. Closure allows the storyteller to transition from the action space created to their everyday lives. Number 2, ethics. Much like therapy, therapeutic theatre is also grounded in a code of ethics such as privacy and confidentiality, the qualification and competence of the mental health care professional to hold space, supervision of therapists, practitioners, facilitators involved, non-duality of roles in the process, respecting the rituals, traditions, principles, and cultural practices of the storyteller, being inclusive of any story and complexities that might emerge in the process, offering informed dynamic consent to storytellers to choose what they want to share. Number 3, narrative. Every person has a story to tell, and every story has 2 or more roles. Like any hero's journey, the storyteller may connect to 4 overarching questions: A, who I am; B, who I want to be; C, who is standing in my way; and D, who can help me. Feathers 4 offers a more directive prompt: I want, but, however, so. It's not necessary to have answers to every question or prompt in the narrative. It is important to ascertain with the storyteller what the theme of the narrative is for them in the here and now. Also, when working with roles, remember, in a therapeutic production, multiple roles can coexist within self, and roles are constantly shifting and evolving. There is no good or bad role. There are roles that are helping you and roles that are harming you. Each role has a function of their own. Roles can be real or fictional. Roles can be internal or external. All roles are real and playable. The meaning of the role is derived from the storyteller. The storyteller always chooses the roles they want to focus on. Number 4, frame. Imagine here you are reconstructing with your storyteller the sensorial experience of the narrative as an experience for the audience. What are the sounds, sights, taste, smell, textures you would find? Some things to consider are: A, light. The way you light up your frame can say a lot, so be sure to use it as per the aesthetic need of your story. B, pre-recorded or online performances offers an opportunity to create more possibilities of what you can choose to show in every frame. C, if you are performing live on stage, simple shifts in objects, colors, and elements in the space could be used for the audience to visualize where the storyteller is. Even if it's not there on stage, help the audience traverse through the power of imagination and metaphors, which brings us to our next point. Number 5. Metaphor is an approximate articulation of a storyteller's thought, emotion, or behavior, such as embodied, symbolic, physical, metaphysical, literal, characterized, spatial, nature-based, invisible, visual, musical, dramatized. Number 6. Dramatization or presentation style. No matter how you choose to present your narrative, it is important to consider with your storyteller on whether the presentation is going to be 1. Structured, semi-structured, or improvisational; 2. Fictional or reality-based; 3. Concrete or abstract; 4. Adaptation of a previous work or creating an original narrative; 5. Verbal or non-verbal. Number 7. Cast and crew. This is an intimate process, so try to keep the number of people in the cast and crew as much as the narrative or logistics necessitates. Be sure to review all elements of the process, such as intention, boundaries, therapeutic alliance, with the presence of new members. Give the cast and crew enough time to warm up to embodiment and vocalization, learn lines and block movement patterns, find comfort, cohesiveness, and safety with the group, rehearse with cues for light, sound, etc. Number 8. Show day. As you prepare to get ready to present your narrative to an audience, here are a few logistical and performance-based considerations. Logistically speaking, be sure to budget, pre-book your space, and double verify wherever required. Tech checks with the production, light, and music team are very important. Make sure you have someone supporting you to take care of audience, ticket counters, and promotion. Performance-based considerations. As far as the audience goes, pre-decide with your storyteller who they would like their audience to be. such as would it be an open performance or selected invites only or within a core community of people. Be sure to warm up and do a tech check before the performance. Typically in any therapeutic production, there will be a talkback or sharing. This is a space where the audience gets a chance to share what resonated with them. This could be done via a talkback between the artist and the audience involved and or a creative sharing of themes that connected with the audience. Be sure to cool down and check in post the performance, offering a grounding space that brings back awareness or action to what the body of performers need in the here and now. All performers help in the process of derolling the space. Number 9. Closure. Like in therapy, termination offers a closure for the storyteller to transition from the liminal reality created over the course of the production to their reality. Number 10. Documentation. Have a clear discussion with your storyteller on what they would like to be able to do with properties, transcripts, or artifacts created in the process. Would they like to retain it, dispose it, or do something else with it perhaps? Take prior consent from everybody involved before sharing recordings in any space or portal, as mentioned in the ethical considerations of informed dynamic consent. Last but not the least, be curious, creative, and trust the process. Be open to adapt as per the storyteller's need. Creating a therapeutic performance can be an immersive process. Always come back to the intention when confused. Honor, respect, and support the storyteller's choice. Work from your area of competency. Support your area of competency. Reach out to peers. Follow up with your supervisor or therapist. Be safe and be ethical. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, Ms. Anupriya. Now we move on to yoga. Yoga therapy is a type of therapy that uses yoga postures, breathing exercises, meditation, and guided imagery to improve mental and physical health. The holistic focus of yoga therapy encourages the integration of the mind, body, and spirit. Modern yoga therapy covers a broad range of therapeutic modalities, incorporating elements from both physical therapy and psychotherapy. Let's take a look at yoga being celebrated by YILAGA. Please welcome the students of YILAGA on Yoga for Wellbeing. Yoga Guru, Ms. Prema Arun is the founder of Yoga City, Oman, and co-founder of Shankara Yoga Kendra, Bengaluru. She is trained in Astanga Yoga, Power of Yoga, and Vinyasa. She has made it her mission to transform the lives of busy homemakers, corporate professionals, and children alike through her teachings, which emphasize on lifestyle modification. Please welcome Ms. Prema Arun.
Namaste. I'm Prema Arun from Yoga City. I'm a yoga consultant at Yoga City, Oman. Today I will be talking about independent living, graceful aging with yoga. I thank Dr. Sally for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this international conference. Let us see how yoga is the key to aging gracefully. According to the yogic lore, we have 5 human dimensions to our personality, that is a physical body, energy body, mental body, intellect body, and the blissful body. Let us see what is the functions in the physical body which we perform. The physical body is nurtured by food. How does yoga helps in the physical body is it enhances your flexibility, strength, endurance, agility, and you become physically fit. Now let us move on to the energy body. Energy body is being nurtured by air. With yoga, it makes you active, alert, and higher levels of awareness is achieved. You become vitally active. Then comes the mental body. How do we nurture the mental body is by thoughts, having the good thoughts. With the practices of yoga, it enhances the mental resilience, agility, and balance. It blends clarity in thoughts and approach. You become mentally strong. Then comes the intellect body. In intellect body, it is being nurtured by knowledge. How does yoga helps is it builds insight, holistic approach to situations, creativity, intuition, and higher order thinking levels. We move from good to great. Then the last one is the blissful body. Here it is being nurtured by wisdom. By the practices of yoga, it develops an attitude of all inclusiveness, a blissful state we achieve, and we are going to become spiritually aware. Then let us see what is yoga. Yoga is the oldest form of exercises, and now it is being studied academically for its anti-aging abilities. Yoga is an art and science, healthy living which creates an harmony between body, mind, man and nature. Yoga is inhibitions of the modifications of the mind. Patanjali, the father of yoga, he says that. And it is derived from the Sanskrit word yuj, which means to join or unite. It indicates harmony between body and mind. How does the evolution of yoga has arrived? The practice of yoga started during the Indus Valley civilization 5,000 years ago. The science of yoga has its origin thousands years ago, much before the religions were born. And sage Patanjali, he codified the ancient yoga philosophy into 196 aphorisms. Now let us move on to how does yoga helps the mental health. Mental health refers to our emotional, psychological and social well-being. It affects how we feel, think and act. And let us see what are the mental health benefits of yoga. It relieves from depression and anxiety. Breathing exercises, it calms the nervous system and depression is always related to the mind and emotions. Once when we control our emotions through breathing exercises, the mind is also controlled. We slow down. That's how the healing process happens. And yoga boosts concentration, focus and memory. The balancing postures which improves your memory and it functions the left and the right part of the brain. It improves your mood. Yogic practices increases the cortisol level in your blood. It keeps your brain young and brain releases all sorts of chemicals that helps you to relax and lower your stress levels. It increases the resilience and the self-regulation. Yoga and meditation are powerful for stress, resilience and strengthening the mind. It helps in the self-regulation of thoughts, feelings and behavior. Let us know what are the yogic tools for mental health and well-being. What we use in yoga is the asanas, pranayam, breathing exercises, kriya, cleansing techniques, mudras, bandhas, the lock for energy and the meditation. The body undergoes a degenerative changes as we age. We cannot reverse or halt the natural process of aging, but we can go through it gracefully. Yogic tools are a fantastic resource to accomplish this. Let us see asanas. How does it help? Asana is like a therapeutic tool which improves our strength, flexibility, balance, and alignment. It works on our circulatory system by releasing the carbon dioxide from our body. It reduces the stress level. You can just see some posters where we have shown the asanas. How does it work on by shunting the blood to whichever part of the body where it is necessary. Now let us move on to the next tool, which is pranayama, which helps us to learn the art of breathing. And breath is like a healing tool, and it is a reflection of our mental state. And pranayama is cultivated for the purification of body, to control the energy in our body, to bring the harmony. And breath is the metaphor here, our approach towards life, to live life and react towards the changes which happens in our life. And pranayama helps in slowing down. That is how the healing process happens. And next comes is the kriyas, which are very, very important. Kriyas, what it does is, it is a cleansing practice which clears and stimulates the brain and gives the strength. Then comes is the mudras. They are the seal for energy, which changes our mood, perception and attitude towards a person or towards a situation. They are helpful in increasing awareness and mindfulness in a person. And bandhas are the lock for energy, which removes the lock and harmonizes and balances the self. We have practiced the cleansing technique here, and then comes is the meditation. Meditation helps in calming down the sympathetic nervous system and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. When two are balanced, it helps in immunity, digestion, stress management. But in deeper relaxation, it activates the pineal glands and releases the hormone melatonin. Melatonin is a very powerful antioxidant. And then comes as the sympathetic nervous system, where the flight or the fight response, we sense it. Always we are in that mode. Parasympathetic system is the rest and digest, where we calm and try to connect within ourselves. And now let us go through the next important nerve in our body, called as a vagus nerve, which is called as a wanderer. It controls our digestion, our heart rate and our immune system. It plays an important role in our physical, emotional and mental health. It carries the sensory information from internal organs back to the brain. Yogic practices have profound influence on toning of the vagus nerve, and this vagus nerve, it stimulates the different glandular systems in our body by reducing the stress and tension, and which helps in balancing our body and mind. And we have given the practices of asanas, pranayam, kriyas and meditation, how we can use yoga as a tool to help independent living and graceful aging. Why don't we practice 2 breathing techniques now? Just all of you close your eyes, keep your spine erect, just focus on your breathing. When you inhale, your abdomen bulges out. When you exhale, it sinks in. Having awareness on your breath helps you to go within yourself it slows down the body mechanism so that stress level is reduced. And the next one more breathing exercise is called as the Brahmari Pranayama, where we are going to close our ears when we inhale. While exhaling, we make a sound like a humming bee, which tranquilizes our mind, brings calmness in our body and mind, so that we will be able to rest, and the systems in our body, they also will be rested. And then comes is the next breathing exercise is the Anulom Vilom Pranayam, where left and the right part of the brain are being activated, and the energy in both the sides is being balanced, where we are going to inhale from our left nostril, exhale from the right, again inhale from the right, and exhale from the left. We keep on repeating it like 6 to 8 rounds. It helps in calming down the mind, and unnecessary thought process is automatically blocked, and emptiness of the mind you will start feeling. With all these practices, taking yoga as a tool to have a healthy living, you are as old as spine is flexible. Meditation, it brings us a sense of reassured, calm, peace, and acceptance of ourselves. We will start accepting ourselves and getting the positive thoughts and strong legs for reliable transport and independence. Healthy joints and the range of motion is increased. Pelvic floor strengthening for healthy bladder and continence. Yoga helps us to slow down the process and age gracefully. I would like to conclude that healthy aging is a journey and a process. Let us enjoy this journey. Thank you, one and all. Prema Arun signing off from Yoga City.
We know from a number of recent and older studies that the act of making music facilitates high levels of cognitive functions, including complex problem solving, logical reasoning, as well as conceptual tasks. Research has shown that musicians have highly developed memory systems. Sri Amit V. Nayak is a recognized Hindustani mandolin player across Karnataka. He has been a performer since the age of 3. Amit currently pursues his MBA in international business in Munich, Germany, and has been acquainted with the cultural groups in Germany to spread his Hindustani music across the globe. Please welcome Sri Amit Nayak on the mandolin.
That was really beautiful to hear. This brings us to the last lap of our YILAGA International Conference. Inviting Dr. Sal Chaco, founder and president of YILAGA, and Mr. Chaco Palutiteril, treasurer of YILAGA and one of the directors of Yohans Vimukthy International, to deliver the vote of thanks. Please welcome Dr. Sal and Mr. Chaco.
When a movie comes to an end, one sits and watches the credits roll by, the names of the actors, the stars, the director, the executive producers are all familiar names. And then one gets to the long tail of the other contributors to the production of this movie. One wonders who these people are. If YILAGA's public events were a movie, over the past 6 years, there'd be one name that would show up in its credits as they roll by. And that person is Joel Joestorm. He's been at every single event, regardless of how busy he was, how far away he was. In fact, for one event, he overslept on the train journey in, and woke up about 200 kilometers away and had to make his way back to the event. I truly appreciate what he's been doing for YILAGA at its events over the past so many years. From arranging chairs in the beginning to really stepping up to a leadership role in terms of the production of this conference over the past 3 days. He's completely taken over the management of the broadcast platform. He's actually done content management. He's edited a lot of the content that we've seen during this. And I really, truly, truly appreciate Joel for what he's done for this event. There's one other person that I want to acknowledge, and that's Akash. He too is in charge of the broadcast platform. And, we've always behind the scenes, taking instructions, often contradictory from various people. He's still managed to put together a program that went seamlessly and without hitches. Thank you, Akash, and thank you all very much.
Good evening. This has been 3 wonderful days of knowledge sharing and understanding what YILAGA means. We also heard eminent panelists and esteemed speakers share the latest studies and research which otherwise would have taken a long and winding road to reach us. I would like to thank my friends, family, and colleagues who have accompanied me through this journey. I also like to thank the APA President, the SMRC founder, the UN and WHO representatives, GPA representatives, mental health advocates, urban planners, digital transformation advocates, philanthropists, social activists, Ayurveda doctors, scientists, artists, and of course, the YILAGA family itself. I especially thank Sneha for her help, deep contributions to make this event a successful one. Her energy and enthusiasm made the journey to the opening event and through the program memorable. I thank Sarah for her active participation. She is no stranger to YILAGA events, and I thank her for her continued support. Most importantly, I thank the participants all across the globe for joining us for this 3-day-long journey. Your participation and support has been essential for this initiative to be a successful one. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sal and Mr. Chaco. We hope You have been enriched to the experiences through the course of this conference.
Thank you for joining us. Until next time, take care and be safe.